Hi everyone, how you all doing? Well, I finally got around to doing it. Something that I've been wanting to do ever since the series started. A particular crime series that everybody just about in the world has probably found time to watch, except me. That series was The Sopranos. So I watched the whole thing in one hit, well, over a period of evenings, because I was working during the day and then watching Sopranos during the evening, up until about midnight. Now, what do I think about it? Well, I tell you what, it's a great program for advertising cookery, isn't it? Italian cuisine. Absolutely amazing the way the first thing on their mind is food. He goes straight to the fridge, doesn't he, to Tony Soprano? Straight to the fridge for the cold cuts, throws a bit in the mouth, and then starts arguing with his wife Camilla. Food. Who would have thought that food played such an important role in that particular type of nation's mind? It's almost as if food is number one, business is number two, and then killings and whackings and everything else is third on the list. But certainly, I have never seen a program that is more devoted to people stuffing their fat faces. And let's face it, look how many were fat, overweight, tough guys, yeah, but certainly overweight. There was one particular episode where he's talking to his driver. This is the muscle-bound driver. You remember this? And he turns around to his driver and he says, "At one time, I could bench press 300 pounds." Well, that's pretty good. 300 pounds bench pressing is pretty good. You've got to be pretty strong to do that. And it's all this sort of psychology, isn't it? It's him telling himself that he's number one. He's the toughest, tough guy there. And a little later on, he finds an excuse, doesn't he, to beat the driver up. What does the driver do wrong? He answers back. See, Tony is the boss. And in that realm, you don't answer back. And he did do, stuck up for himself because he was a tough guy himself, look at the muscles on him. And he thought, well, I'll just answer back, I'll just stick up for myself. But that sort of aggravated the situation as far as Tony Soprano was concerned. So he had to show everybody that was sat there that he was the tough guy. He really was the epitome of a tough guy in that situation. I mean, everybody could handle themselves to a degree. They're all sort of violent in sort of everyday life, and they're all sort of short-fused people. But you always have to have the leader of the pack as the toughest in that game, and rightly so. Tony Soprano fitted that mold. Now, there was one scene in The Sopranos that upset me. Now, I knew it was about killing, whacking people. I knew it was about insincerity, kissing them on the left cheek, on the right cheek, and then in the afternoon finding a reason to lie to them and lure them to a place where you can whack them. I knew that that's what they're all about, that race of people. But one thing that really upset me was Adriana, Chris's soon-to-be fiance, and Silvio is driving her on a pretext of taking her to where Chris is. So this is this deception, this is the lies that they tell to lure you into a false sense of security. And eventually she sort of twigs, doesn't she, when he takes her into this wooded area. He drags her out, and there's this bit of a scene, isn't there? It's a very, very short scene. You only get a little glimpse of her saying no, 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 because she knows she's going to be whacked, off Silvio. And she's crawling on what seems to be all fours, sort of get away. So that means that Silvio, while she's crawling away, must have popped her and killed her, shooting her in perhaps the back of the head, but a little bit of a distance away. Not, I don't think he went close range to her. I think she was crawling away, and I think he just shot her twice or something like that. That scene was particularly upsetting to me because that was because she was sort of wanting to get away from that lifestyle, and she wanted Chris to get away from that lifestyle as well, believing that if they stayed doing what they were doing, they were going to be killed anyway. It's almost as if it's the shortest shelf life you have when you mix it in those circumstances. Now, what did I like about the end of it? Right, I'll tell you what. Yeah, a lot of people complained about the end, didn't they? Because they was in the restaurant, everybody's convening, they're watching the door. Someone comes in, they keep looking at the door. You can hear the bell going as someone comes through, and then someone goes to the toilet. Now, I would presume that the one that went to the toilet was the hitman that took out Tony. That's my opinion, because if you watch another film called The Irishman, he says that when he goes in to do a hit, he always goes into the bathroom. He says you don't want to be uncomfortable if you're having to stand around, so go straight to the bathroom and collect your thoughts. And I think that that's what happened. So the hitman went into the bathroom, decided he had to come out then. He'd already sized up where Tony was sat, where his wife was sat, where all his family were, and his main target was to take Tony out. Did I like the idea that it just went to a black screen afterwards? Well, yeah, I suppose I did. Because he's telling his story, isn't it, through his therapist? That's another thing as well. There was one episode where they're analysing round the table. I'm talking about his therapist, the woman, and all her sort of family and associates, and they're analysing that a lot of sociopaths and killers like to hone their skills, and so they go and see therapists in order to be a bit better at what they do, a more accomplished killer, and someone that can second read a situation. So that means that Tony was using her. And I think that she eventually, you could see that episode where it had dawned on her that she couldn't help him because he didn't want to be helped. So everybody got what they deserved. So if you're going to sum up something like this, you have to use this phrase: he that lives by the sword dies by the sword. It's a very old expression. What goes around comes round. So there's always payback, isn't there? And I'm thinking, those that was creeping up on people and popping them in the back of the head, those type of mafia killers. Did it ever dawn on them that later on down the line, that's exactly how they'll go? No, they don't think like that. They don't think like a normal person. They think very, very temporary, to get the money for the hit, to continue with a lavish lifestyle, nice fast cars, everything else. But they never think about the bigger picture, and that is that when your use is all used up, that you are going to be next on their list. And so everything just sort of goes along. So one crime family comes in, they take over for a while, they lose members, then another crime family comes in, decides they want a bigger piece of the pie, and so they make a move. And that's really what it was all about. But was the acting great? Yes. Was the acting from everyone great? Yes. I don't think anybody that appeared in The Sopranos was a terrible actor. They were all amazing. Did I feel sorry for Camilla's wife? Yes, of course I did. I was very, very sorry for her. I didn't think she deserved to have a husband that was continually going with younger women that she knew about. Well, I suppose it's part of the lifestyle of being a crime boss, isn't it? That whatever you want, you get. Could they do another series where I know he's dead, and you think, well, how can they do another series if he's dead? Hear me out. Could they do a series where he's a young lad, and so the series of the early Sopranos of his father and Uncle Junior and all the early ones, and how by watching his father he sort of became what he was going to become, a crime boss. Could they do a series like that? If so, I probably would watch it. So yeah, 10 out of 10. And I'm so glad I found the time to watch it after all this time. I was threatening to, because I managed to get to watch all Breaking Bad, and I managed to watch Saul. So I managed to watch all those other crime series, and I thought, well, there's got to be one other one that I've got to squeeze in. And I finally squeezed it in. And I was absolutely bowled away with the standard of acting. Amazing. Right, so I'll see you again, peeps. I'm going to be busy for the next 2 weeks at work because that's just how it is at the moment. Mad busy. Loads of huge jobs coming up that I've got to get out of the way. So I'll see you again. Take it easy, everyone. Goodbye.